All right, so the second to last mock draft of the year that I'm going to do for the LA Rams, and we are here. We are at the point of no return. Last mock draft I went with Luther Burden III at pick 32 via a trade down from the Philadelphia Eagles. I also went with, at pick 67 via a trade down with the Dolphins. I went with Demetrius Knight Jr. I also took Harold Fannin Jr. at pick 98 at 116. Of course, had plenty of trades in this one. Went with Noel Williams from California, the cornerback. Running back Brashard Smith from SMU in the 4th round. Kyle McCord, the quarterback from Syracuse, at pick 150 in the 5th round. In the 6th round, I went with Holland Pierce, the raw but talented Rutgers tackle. In the 7th round, I double dipped in the 7th round. I picked safety from Alabama, Malachi Moore, and linebacker from Buffalo, Sean Dolak. So that's what I did last time. They said I was in the top 33% of LA Rams drafts on PFF. But where will I rank this time? Probably not as good. And you're going to see why soon. Before we dive into it, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Also, be sure to follow me on all social media at JKBogan, including Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Kick. All right, let's dive into it. So, at pick 26, I don't, and by the way, this is a predictive mock draft. So I might have things that I want them to do, but this is based on how the Rams, the fits, how their schemes work, things like that. What they normally do, tendencies. This is based on what I believe the Rams could do. This is a predictive mock. So starting off at pick 26, I'm trading down once again, sticking with that same trade. You take 32nd and 64th from the Philadelphia Eagles. You give away 26th and 101. They went up and got Nolan from Ole Miss. So I'm not a big Nolan fan at all. So there's that. But anyway, we move on to pick 32. Some of you are not going to like this pick, and that's fine. But I got to be honest with you. I think right now, if I had to pick anybody, I think the Rams are taking Jalen Milroe from Alabama at pick 32. Jalen Milroe is somebody that I feel really good about, and I only continue to feel better about him as the days go on. I've watched all the games I can on him. I've watched this guy, make some crazy throws, have some crazy runs, and I see somebody that really does fit, in my opinion. He fits the timeline, which you guys have heard me say over and over and over again. He not only fits the timeline, folks, this is a player that I think could be a dynamic weapon in year one in the league. Now, I understand people are going to talk about Trey Lance and how that didn't work out. Well, I trust Sean McVay a lot more than I trust Kyle Shanahan. It's that simple. But more so, I really do think when you look back at some of the things that they said over the course of time, Sean McVay said this about, the explosive backfield and emulating the explosive backfield that Tampa had, right, with, Bucky Irving. So I keep thinking back to that. And then I keep thinking back to wanting a quarterback with starter level potential, which, that was said at one point. And I also keep thinking back to a mobile quarterback, which Les Snead has said or spoke on. So Jalen Milroe's the pick. And I understand not everybody's going to like it, but I think he makes a ton of sense because not only can he help you in 2025 as a threat with his legs and could be used like a Taysom Hill, but I think this guy gives you massive upside as a franchise quarterback. The thing about Jalen Milroe is that if Anthony Richardson didn't happen, if he wasn't just taken and viewed by the league as a bust already, which the jury's still out on him as far as I'm concerned, Jalen Milroe would probably go higher. His athletic profile is insane. And the fact that he could throw a ball with that amount of strength is also insane. And the intangibles, the things you can't measure, like heart, his leadership. This guy is a leader through and through. He comes from a great, strict, but great upbringing. He's coachable. There's so many. When I was reading and doing my research on Jalen Milroe, I just came away, there's so many things to love about this player. And I understand 32 might seem rich, but you know what? They have to pick him at 32. And I don't even know if he'll be there. But let's just say he is, because he was in this. You're picking him at 32 because you get the fifth-year option, which is really important for quarterbacks, number one. Number two, not only do you acquire that fifth-year option, but you also jump out in front, or rather you trade down, you stay in front of a Cleveland Browns, New York Giants, maybe even Pittsburgh Steelers. Literally in front of the Browns and Giants, who pick 1 and 2 after this. So, point being, the point I'm trying to make is that the Browns have Tommy Rees in their coaching staff. He was the offensive coordinator a year ago with Milroe. So there's a connection there. And then Brian Dable, just because they took Russell Wilson off of free agency, just because they added Jameis Winston, doesn't mean they won't draft a quarterback. It might mean they won't draft a quarterback at number 3. And if that's the case, I could really see them going with Milroe, who I think fits a Brian Dable type of offense. So I think the Rams might have to bite the bullet here, draft him earlier than maybe you want to draft him. But when it's all said and done, I think he's going to end up being one of the best, if not the best quarterback from this draft, especially if he goes to the Rams. I think it's all about fit with him, but I wouldn't rule him out if he went to a bad fit either, because this guy just wants to learn. He just works really hard. He's got elite arm, elite legs. No one else in the draft has both. You could say Cam Ward is close, but no one definitively in this draft at quarterback has 2 elite traits, and he does. And so for that reason, at pick 32, the same pick Lamar Jackson was taken, which, by the way, is a stronger arm than Lamar Jackson, I go with Jalen Milroe. So we move down to 64, or move up to 64, rather, taking a 101 pick and turning in the 64th pick by moving down 6 spots. The Eagles get Walter Nolan. The Rams, I'm going to actually move back from 64 to 73 with the Jets and acquire pick 110 because the Jets really wanted to trade up and get somebody at pick 64. I don't remember what player that they wanted. I just remember the Eagles wanted Walter Nolan. So, at pick 73, the Rams take wide receiver out of Iowa State, Jalen Knoll, who I have talked about on this channel. I have done a video about on this channel, who has familiarity, right? Because I've said it a million times, Nate Scheelhaas was the offensive coordinator at Iowa State. And I know he was with the Rams last year, but he still had a chance to be around Jalen Knoll. So, 2 Jalens, back-to-back, Jalen Milroe and Jalen Knoll. Now, why Jalen Knoll? And I think it's definitely fair to ask the question. Well, the thing about Knoll is, like, when I watch this guy really just finds a way to get open. And he is explosive. He is a snappy route runner. He is an absolute dynamic piece to an offense. I think he could be a slot option, could work on the outside. I think he and Tutu Atwell, they kind of both can be together in this offense. And then if they want to back off Tutu Atwell in the future, they have Jalen Knoll on a 4-year deal, essentially. Really high football IQ, smart, conscientious football player, but also reliable in the clutch situations. Despite the fact he's only 5'10", this guy's not afraid to go up and high point the football and play above the rim. He did just barely have a 4.3 40 time. That is evident on film. So when I look at Knoll, I think he makes a lot of sense for the Rams. I would probably have gone with Jaden Higgins, but he was gone. And so I really like this pick, Jalen Knoll. As much as I love Luther Burden III, he was, by the way, gone at pick 26 this time around, which I think is realistic when I took Jalen Milroe via the trade down. So wide receiver, headed to the Rams, an offensive weapon to help out Matthew Stafford, quest for another Super Bowl. Jalen Knoll, come on down. Rams wide receiver room now is Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Tutu Atwell, Jalen Knoll, and Jordan Whittington. I feel like that is the best wide receiver room in the NFL. No question for me. Maybe I'm, overreactive or whatever, but I feel like that is an absolutely stellar wide receiver room. My only gripes with him is that he didn't really get utilized a ton in the blocking area. So he'll have to block a lot more in the NFL. I think he can do it. It is kind of a weakness in his game as of right now, but I think it's because of the lack of experience. I'm not even entirely sure he'll be here, but yards after the catch, demon, deep threat, elite speed, breakaway speed, explosive. Jalen Knoll, come on down to the Rams. So at pick 90, we're going to stay familiar here, right? So the last mock draft I did, I had the tight end being Harold Fannin Jr. Well, I'm sticking with Harold Fannin Jr. at tight end. It's very simple. Harold Fannin Jr. is, in my opinion, the second best tight end in this draft. I like him more than Colston Loveland. I like him more than, Mason Taylor, Gunnar Helm, and I like those guys a lot. I like this tight end draft. I like Arroyo. I like Terrence Ferguson, right? But Harold Fannin Jr. is somebody that is being slept on, and I'm convinced it's because of his unorthodox style, like running style, honestly. That's entirely what I believe. And I'm not the only one that's mentioned that, because he doesn't run like a really athletic tight end does. It's like people are sleeping on this guy, but he might not even be here when they pick at 90. I don't know where he's going to go. Here's the deal. Harold Fannin Jr. is an incredibly productive tight end. I mean, this is a guy that broke FBS records at the position and had Bowling Green playing their offense through him. He absolutely ripped apart Texas A&M and Penn State, over 280 yards, 19 receptions, 2 touchdowns. He was insane, okay? And I just don't have any questions about him. He gives effort in blocking scenarios. I'm not even going to really use him in line. I would use him more as a flex, but I think he has potential to be used in line. I think this is being overthought here. One of the younger tight ends in this draft, not even 21 yet. I think Harold Fannin Jr. is an absolute stud. He's a freak show in a different way. He's not like some elite athlete. To me, my comparison was Jordan Reed / Gerald Everett. Sean McVay coached both of those guys. So I think he's a perfect fit for the Rams. That's just my opinion. And I got him here at 90. At pick 110 via the trade down with the Jets, sticking and picking Noel Williams. So we got Jalen and Noel and Noel. Jalen Noel and Noel Williams. Not necessarily a common thing, but look, I'm a big fan of Noel Williams, and there were some corners here that I really considered, including Kobe Bryant, who I think has really kind of emerged on my board. I was always more of a Mello Dotson fan, but I like them both, obviously, being a Kansas Jayhawk fan. What I found is that Kobe Bryant fits the Rams' defense more. I think he's more reliable in the run game, and Noel Williams, I came away with him being kind of the perfect fit. I mean, I think he addresses a critical need long-term at corner. Darius Williams is not going to be back after the season, but Akello Witherspoon's on a 1-year deal. The hope is he gets signed. He gets an extension. However, that's not always the case. Kobe Durant, contract year, right? Darion Kendrick, contract year. These guys, there's a lot of guys that are going to have contracts expired. And so in this position here, Noel Williams makes a lot of sense. He played his football at California, obviously. Good size at 6'1", 200 pounds, 4.5 speed. I think he would absolutely excel in cover 3. And, he's got good ball production, run support, only 4 missed tackles on the year. I'm a really big fan of Noel Williams. I think he fits like a glove in this defense. Now, would he start right away? I think he could. I think he absolutely has inside-outside versatility, but I like him more on the outside, the boundary. I think this is excellent value here. You're not going crazy. You're not spending tons of capital. And so I really like this pick. And you know what I'll say is this. They might not even go corner, but I really think Noel Williams makes a ton of sense here. But let's just say they're not done. I will say this right now, okay? It would not surprise me if Jalen Ramsey returned to the Rams in some capacity. Is it via a trade during the draft? Is it via a trade after the draft? Is it via free agency, like he's cut? I'm just saying. You heard it from me. I didn't just report what was being said. I have made my 2 cents here very known. I would not sleep on a Jalen Ramsey return to the Rams. I'm just saying. But Noel Williams, for the time being in this mock draft, love the fit. Pick 110 off the board there for Noel Williams. Then at pick 127, the Rams keep the pick just like they did at 90. So the second actual pick that the Rams have that they didn't trade away, I'm sticking and picking, and I'm going to go with Jarquez Hunter from Auburn. Round 4, pick 127. Now, I understand there's going to be some blowback here, and there were some running backs that I think some of you guys might have drafted over him where he was selected. But here's the deal, okay? They met with Jarquez Hunter, and he fits that wide zone, outside zone scheme, run scheme that I think they're going to lean on more moving forward. I think it benefits Kyren Williams more, and I think it benefits Jarquez Hunter. The entire point is that you're trying to stretch out the defensive line. You're blocking as an offensive lineman. You are blocking an area. You're not blocking a person. It's not man blocking. So because of this, it allows guys that can make quick decisions on the fly and read. They can react and they can have that one cut. And I think when you look at Jarquez Hunter, he might not have the cutting ability that I would love, but I see a guy that definitely fits the Rams because you're looking at home run hitting ability, right? Well, this guy ran, a 4.4 40 time, and it shows up on tape. He's 5'10", he's 210 pounds. And this is a guy that, has that burst. He can get to that second level, and then he's really hard to bring down. He breaks tackles. He carries guys on his back. He just knocks guys over. So I also like his ability in pass pro. I'm not saying he's amazing, but I do think he has it. And I think he more so is going to have a lot of room to grow in that area where I feel confident and comfortable him developing as a pass protector. So really like Jarquez Hunter. I think his receiving ability is a little untapped as well. He had a crazy game against Kentucky. He had over 200 yards rushing, and that was the game that really got my attention. I really think the Rams will have their attention on him as well. So, does that mean he goes hand in hand with Kyren Williams? I think so. I think he's a great complement to Kyren Williams, provides the speed Kyren doesn't have, and provides the oomph as far as, that just kind of bouncing off tackles, that power that Kyren does not have. Blake Corum doesn't have to go anywhere. I think all 3 backs can work in this offense, but I definitely think they're picking a running back, and I definitely would not be surprised if it was Jarquez Hunter here at pick 127. Moving on, I took pick 190 and 202, and I bought a pick. I traded up, and I got 150. And I think I've mentioned this isn't a roster that you can just draft 14 guys and have them all make the team. So I'm not trying to waste value here. I want to go and I want to get more, I want to get a 5th round pick. I don't have one. So I could see the Rams doing this. I move with the Dolphins, 190, 202, move up to 150, and I select Kansas tackle Logan Brown. Now, I went back and forth on this. There were quite a few. Chase Lunt from UConn I liked here. I was thinking about waiting on Jalen Travis, but Logan Brown is actually a really ideal developmental right tackle, in my opinion, to groom behind Rob Havenstein. And I think, Rob Havenstein turns 33. They could sign him another year, but this is the last year of his contract, and I think he'd be ready to start as early as after this season. And you know what? Logan Brown could probably get away with playing this year. He's a good player. I watched him at KU, and he's got a lot of experience playing right tackle. He's 6'6", 311. He had an RAS score of 947. He's an elite athlete. He's fluid. He works in their zone scheme. Again, I know they use gap, but I really do feel like they're going to lean more on zone this year. He can really pull as a lead blocker. So I think the 2024 tape really showed that this guy can work in the NFL. I think he's got ideal length. I know some would prefer him to, prefer guys to have longer arms. He's got fine length for the position. That's my thing, is that I just think he's a little raw, but I think he's got a lot going for him, and I think he'd be a great fit for the Rams at pick 150. So now we're on to round 6, pick 195, and I took Malachi Moore. Shocker. Again, I love Malachi Moore. Okay, he'll probably go higher than this because all these mock drafts have him going the 7th round, the 6th round. This guy is like a 2nd, 3rd round type of player on tape. I absolutely love Malachi Moore's tape. Alabama safety. This is a guy that just screams Ram to me. Okay, and the last time I said those exact words, they drafted him. It was Jordan Whittington. He feels to me like when I watch Malachi Moore, he reminds me a little bit of Jordan Fuller. Okay, so really like Malachi Moore. I think he is a really good fit, and he's going to offer a little bit of everything. He's a good coverage safety. He can play in the box. He didn't test extremely well, and so because of that, he's going to fall. But this is a leader, okay, and he did a big time program. You already have Cameron Curl, Quentin Lake, Cameron Kinchins, Jalen McCullough. Add another safety. Malachi Moore is the guy that I would add. Now, if Malachi Moore wasn't there, I like Hunter Wohler out of Wisconsin. I like Kyton Crawford out of Nevada. There are other guys, but Malachi Moore is my guy, and I feel like the Rams are really going to like him. If he is there, I would not be surprised if they pick him, especially in the 6th round. So moving on to another 6th round pick. We got 2 more picks here. Sean Dolak, welcome back, but we moved you up a little bit. Sean Dolak has been promoted from a 7th round pick to a 6th round pick, and here's why. Because I think people are starting to catch on with Sean Dolak. And this time during the draft, this is why I have multiple mock drafts, but I don't wait until April to actually, because no one can. If I do a mock draft in March, it's not going to have any relevance for now. So Sean Dolak is definitely going to be moving up boards. The question is, how far is he going to go up? In that final week when you're just really honing in like your board and figuring out the guys that you like on day 3, Dolak to me, high value addition for the Rams. Wouldn't be surprised if he went undrafted either. Like an agent doesn't want him to get drafted. He falls to the 7th round and is like, don't draft me. I want it, whatever. But Dolak had crazy production in 2024. We're talking 168 tackles, 18.5 tackles for loss, 5 interceptions. He had a 91.7 PFF grade. The coverage instincts are there. He had an elite coverage grade, 92.7, a 33.6 passer rating allowed. It really, in my opinion, makes him a perfect fit for Shula's defense. I really believe that. I think he's a guy that can be a 3-down backer. They don't need him to be. So he'd be a really good complement for Omar Speights. And he's got a high motor. He's got special teams chops. Why would he go this late? He played at Buffalo. We're still questioning all that. And honestly, since COVID, I'm going to be honest with you. Since COVID, I really feel like teams are focusing more on Power 5 schools than they ever were in the past. So that's a Power 4, I guess, because the Pac-12 doesn't even exist anymore. It's still there, but there's like 2 teams. Point being, I feel like teams feel more confident and comfortable going after bigger school players. That's just the way it's always been for the most part, but now I feel like it's more evident. So even though Khalil Mack came from Buffalo and put him on the map, and Tyree Jackson was drafted out of Buffalo, Sean Dolak could fall. 6th round, 213 though. I think that's fair. I mean, I think he's got 3rd round tape. I think he is a very low risk pickup here with starter upside. But hey, if he ends up a Ram in the 6th round, you're going to be pretty damn happy. I'll just say that. All right, last but not least here, round 6. We have pick 222, Thor Griffith. Okay, so to explain, by the way, traded down from pick 201 to get 213 and 222 from the Raiders. So there we have that out of the way. Should have explained that earlier. Thor Griffith from Louisville, this defensive tackle, okay, in the 6th round, I'm just going to tell you right now, or 7th round, excuse me. I'm going to tell you right now, Thor Griffith is one of my favorite players in the draft. First off, his name is dope, but that's not why, okay? This is a guy that would absolutely bolster the defensive line, crazy athlete, explosive first step, but the instantaneous thing I notice is the strength. Okay, his play strength, he is a monster. When offensive linemen are blocking, he doesn't move. And I think, a lot of the time is when you don't know what you're watching, if you watch a defensive lineman and he doesn't move, you instantly think, oh, this guy lumbers. No, he in the run game does not move. He stays right in the gap. He is a gap eater, okay? He had an 82.4 PFF run defensive grade. And this is a guy that has, in my opinion, I think he's got plenty of versatility, can play all the way through the 0 tech to the 3 tech, right? So this is a guy that had a lot of dominance at Harvard, transferred to Louisville. I think he needs to be on your radar. Griffith is just nasty. He's got a wrestling background. I think he's got legitimate starter potential. And I think you put him with the guys that are around him, that defensive line bolsters the Rams. Everyone keeps saying how they need to get a run defender. Well, I don't know how much they really need that. They do have Poona Ford. And anyway, this guy can stop the run. I think with this draft, you would have every single player on this team make the roster, which is not an easy roster to make, and you would have every single player on this team playing legitimate roles. Jalen Milroe being the Taysom Hill role, being used in the backfield, maybe as a receiver at times, while also developing as a quarterback in the background. Jalen Knoll, you get a dynamic 3-4 receiver, could be utilized as a motion gadget guy, but it can also take the top off the defense. Harold Fannin Jr. could be your flex tight end. Made more guys miss than anybody in college football at the position. 32. The next man was Ty Warren with 16 from Penn State. Noel Williams. You get a guy on the outside, really good body composition, good run defender, good in coverage, just really technically sound. Doesn't have like the crazy measurables, which is why he falls to the 4th round, but he could start. Then you have Jarquez Hunter, right? Hunter, people are going to say is a reach. Hunter, when he hits a home run, you're not going to think so. This guy has breakaway game-breaking speed. So love that. And then Logan Brown had to grab a Jayhawk. You just didn't know which one. But no, all jokes aside, Logan Brown has got a lot of fans in the Ram community. I've noticed that. A lot of people like him, and rightfully so. I've watched him for a while, and I'll tell you right now, Brown is the real deal. I think he just needs to have some time to sit to be the best version of himself. If he gets a chance to sit for a year behind Havenstein, there you go. And then you got Malachi Moore, who could very well push for playing time. Sean Dolak could be starting, right? We saw Omar Spates undrafted. Sean Dolak could be right there. And then Thor Griffith could be really fighting to be in that rotation. So PFF gave me a C, for those of you that were wondering. Bottom 26% of Rams drafts, mainly because they think Thor Griffith is the worst player on the face of the earth. Jalen Milroe is the 100th player overall, and they're low on Harold Fannin Jr., Jalen Noel Williams. Okay, they're low on everybody except for Logan Brown, it looks like. And Malachi Moore, they seem to be a little bit higher on. Sean Dolak, they think he's probably the worst player ever, but that's that. So I'm going to end it with this, okay? I am just going to say, I don't know for sure, but I am just going to remind people, I really think the Rams are not done. I really think Jalen Ramsey or a Jair Alexander or somebody like that could join this team on top of what they do in the draft. I'm just saying, I do not get the sense that they're done. It is quiet. Too quiet. And oh, by the way, if you want to humor yourself a little bit, who knows? Maybe a certain guy that retired could come out of retirement. Hell, Jalen Ramsey flat out said it. See, this is why you watch until the end of the video. Jalen Ramsey posted under Aaron Donald's workout video 2 hours ago as I'm recording this. Man, a comeback would be legendary with the eye emoji. Look, I don't get too much into the Instagram stuff. I never have, but Jalen Ramsey, anytime he says anything on social media, you have to pay attention. We've learned that. We've learned what emojis mean with Ramsey. There's something to monitor. I'm just saying. But anyway, that's going to do it. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is my mock draft 2.0. Let me know if you like the first one better. The first one, of course, I went with Luther Burden, Demetrius Knight Jr., Harold Fannin Jr., Noel Williams, Brashard Smith, Kyle McCord, Holland Pierce, Malachi Moore, and Sean Dolak. In this one, I went with Jalen Milroe, Jalen Noel, Harold Fannin Jr., Noel Williams, Jarquez Hunter, Logan Brown, Malachi Moore, Sean Dolak, and Thor Griffith. Let me know in the comment section below which one you prefer, and let me know your thoughts in addition to that on the whole Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald little thing going on here. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's a lot of something. Who knows? But that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to smash that like button. Be sure to hit subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, folks. Later. All right, guys, so once again, just want to let you guys know that you can check out my new side project, The Lounge. I interview athletes, musicians, actors, actresses, all the nine. So definitely check it out over on The Lounge with Jake Ellenbogen channel. Be sure to subscribe and enjoy. In case you guys haven't noticed, I do have a Discord channel for my community on this channel. And if you want to be a part of it, it is free. The link is in the description below. You can sign up. This is basically a 24/7 Rams channel, and we are almost at 1,100 members. So if you want to be a part of it, just hit the link in the description below.